I said I couldn't be bothered, but I lied. And last night I clicked on it. I was curious. I had seen a lot of chatter on Tumblr, on Twitter, and in Discords. And I decided I might as well join the people and having an opinion. First of all, not related, but just a little tidbit, because I've been in editing mode for the past several months on The Gang Part 1 Ether, and Lindsay is spelled 2 different ways here at Sims VIP. It's not important to Project Rene, but it just jumped out at me. I don't know why, but it's well, I mean, I know why. It's because I've been editing, but moving on. I don't know if I'm going to read this. I guess I could. Or you can pause it and read it. But I want to know who was the speechwriter, if Miss Lindsay wrote this herself or someone wrote it for her, because why? First of all, I don't like when people insult our intelligence, especially a corporation. The reason why they call it Project Rene is not because it is reminiscent of words like renewal, renaissance, rebirth, and it represents our renewed commitment to The Sims. No, we call it Project Rene because we needed a name for the project to be on the book so we could put money towards a project and not have it leaked that we're working on The Sims 5 until we are ready to leak it ourselves. That is why. It's for financial reasons. It's not for all these things in that sentence. Besides, this part makes me wonder, renewed commitment to The Sims. Does that mean you didn't have commitment to it before? Or you had commitment at it in the beginning, but now you have none, so you're renewing your vows, basically? Is that what that means? So there was no commitment to The Sims 4 whatsoever, everybody. It's confirmed by Miss Lindsay herself in this address here. I'm not going to go into a deep dive of what I actually feel about this statement. I think they could have done a better job. Of course they could have, but, you know, I'm not going to go into a depth picking it apart because I don't think anybody wants me to do that. But I'm going to do screenshots, but I thought let's go ahead and I should have already done this. Okay. I slowed it down because I noticed that the speed that they put it on was too fast for people to actually absorb what was going on. And they do that on purpose. So YouTube has the ability to actually slow down the speed. If you don't know, it's over here in settings and you just go to playback speed and this is normal. And I put it on half, which I think is good enough. But let me talk about before we get in this deep dive, because there's going to be a constant comparison to Paralives going on, not just with me, but with commenters, with different people across the community talking about how Paralives and how what they've showed so far for Project Rene are similar in a lot of things. One thing that someone said was that the art style and direction is very reminiscent of it. But when I first looked at the pictures, I didn't think Paralives, to be honest. I thought it was a mixture of Discovery University, Tiny Living, and Cats and Dogs from Sims 4. It doesn't look as blocky as the Sims 4 art style. It's still contemporary, but we can see unfinished things in the assets here. So, I mean, this is early development, so I'm not going to really judge it too much on the assets right now. They're just showcasing different features right now. This isn't exactly about the objects themselves. So, that's something to keep in mind. I want to press that EA is not making their own engine. This is Unreal Engine 5, which is free for everyone to use. You can just go Google it and you can download it. Whereas Paralives, I believe, is using Unity. I believe I remember that once upon a time, them saying they're using Unity. So the capabilities that you see between both of these games is things in the engine that can be programmed to do with creative tools already built into the engine. So here we're going to see the parts change. We go to double bed, we go to single bed. We see that they changed the headboard and the floorboard, or the footboard, rather, floorboard. I'm thinking cars. I'm going to stop it. And those are things that are already built into the engine that they use as creative tools. They're going to show some more things here in Creative Styles. But Arnie, who is a former Sims 4 creator and retired to make his own life simulation game, has showed those exact same things with a table, which he did 9 days of learning life simulation game, which is, I mean, is worth looking at. I mean, really it is. It's worth watching his little shorts here of him talking about it. I did a few days ago, and so it was fresh on my mind when I watched this video, in which is tools built in that you have to program for your game, but they are already tools built into the engine. So, saying that this is just the Sims 4 team, or this, or not, I'm sorry, not the Sims 4 team, but this is the EA team, and this is the Paralives team, and they're copying. Yes and no. Yes, I'm sure that EA Games feels threatened by Paralives. We've seen it already. I mean, in The Sims 4, them doing quick little updates after Paralives puts out a video about something, for instance, the shoes. But Paralives had an actual animation taking the shoes off, whereas EA had, they just do this little spin and the shoes are gone. So, you know, those are the differences there. Alex, who made Paralives, says he is not bothered by them using their ideas. And someone made a good point about why, and it's because he doesn't feel threatened. And it's because he knows that EA, even though they're a billion-dollar corporation, will cut corners. And they won't make it as polished. They won't put all their love, passion, and attention and focus into making every animation be smooth, or little details for every little thing. They're not going to do that because EA gonna EA. You know, we've seen it with Sims 4. We've seen how many corners they will cut. They won't pull out the dresser drawer to change and push it back. They'll just spin at the dresser and change instead of having that little tiny animation. That is Sims 4 in a nutshell. It's so many cut corners. So, Mr. Alex is not at all bothered by EA using their ideas. It's fine. So, because he knows deep in his soul that they don't have that love and that passion and that focus to make sure it is as polished as possible, because they will go buy this ridiculous budget that makes no sense, and, you know, does it make sense for a billion-dollar corporation to sit there we don't have the time and the resources and the money for? Absolutely they do. So, but I just wanted to press upon about there will be comparisons throughout probably this video and throughout the community talking about how Paralives and what we've seen so far in Project Rene, there are similarities. So this is Creative Style, showcasing the color wheel. And basically, I mean, we're going to pretend that Creative Style doesn't exist in The Sims 4. It does. It does exist in Cats and Dogs. They just haven't enabled it for everything. And they're going to show changing the parts again, changing cushions and things like that. Which I, in 13 Pumpkin, when she was first 3D modeling, learning how to make her own 3D models from scratch, we talked about, when she was still creating for Sims 2, making a thing called Build a Chair, where you had different seats, different cushions, different backs of chairs, and different legs of the chairs, and then you would just collectively build the chair in-game with different pieces. So we talked about that. We never did do it, but it was one of the very first suggestions I made to Paralives when they opened up discussions. Next, we have what people have been referring to as Blender tools in what we see in Project Rene right now, in which is the adjusting of assets which, again, Paralyzed has showcased already in their features. And I know a lot of people are bothered by that because they're bothered by having that level of intricacy, making it more complicated. And someone said something about, you know, the many hours they spend just decorating like one setting. But for some people that's very fun and entertaining, and that's the main reason why they play The Sims. So I myself am not bothered by more intricacy. To me, I want it to be teen for teen. I don't want to be so simple that children are, you know, it's aimed at children. I don't want that at all. Because something that is very simple becomes very boring. So, I'm not bothered by that. Here's the grouping. Everyone ignore the cat. He's just in a mood today. And they showcase this. I'm not really understanding the showcasing of this right now. They're showing that you can group a bunch of objects and make it something, kind of like you can save a room. And then we have this. Let me back it up. Because, oops, too far. We'll start here. Can you see here? We're showing this person, right? This is Autumn Star. And then this person called Branches comes in and selects. Oh, I might have missed it. I think they do. They come in and they select. Yeah, they select that. So that's two people playing at the same time. In which, I don't know how many people saw that when the live stream actually happened. But then we come here. And they showcase the mobile device here is Llama. And then you can see on this person's screen, this other user, which I think is Romeo, is doing the couch there. Okay. Oh, let me go back. I have one more thing to show people, and I don't know if anybody noticed. It says apartment selection. I wonder if anybody else noticed that yet. So, they're showing right now in this early development that we have apartments. So, if they release base game without apartments, screenshot it and slap it up. I'm serious, because that's already saying they have the ability, but they're not putting it out in base game. They're saving it for a DLC. So I hope that people remember that they did have the ability. And they've kind of shown some things. We can see the outside here. There's another screenshot where you can see the road. But let me go over here to screenshots. Which one is it? This one? You can see the road right here. And then this, of course, is outside. Which I'm assuming this is the same apartment. This is one apartment complex. This is two different rooms that they're showcasing. This was copied and pasted over there, I'm assuming. But we won't ever know because they didn't actually showcase building a room or anything like that. They just showcased little tiny abilities that they have in in Unreal Engine. So let me talk about mobile. They already told us when Miss Laura, about a year and so ago, she went and had this interview with VentureBeat. And she talked about the future of what she believes the direction of the Sims franchise should be. And she talked about how she wants the Sims to compete with Fortnite and Minecraft and Roblox. And I didn't understand, and I still don't understand, why she felt the need for a life simulator to compete with any of those games. One's an RPG, one's a battle royale, and one is a virtual chat room with activities. So, to say, you know, to compete with any of these games, why? I don't understand. Your game is nothing like those games. A life simulation game has no end result. It is a continuous circle that goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It's generational gameplay. So the sandbox is supposed to support it by expansion, not by holding it in place, but by expanding its abilities of growing. So I don't really understand Laura, her perspective of that. She believes that she'll bring in new gameplay people. She's going to lose a big audience, though, by doing that. So I don't really understand pretty much isolating the big chunk of your players, your consumer base, the people who've been buying these games since The Sims came out. I don't understand why you would isolate them, and why would you say we're no longer going to continue on what the traditional path of The Sims is, which is just expanding the sandbox with, more modern technology and things like that. Instead, it's adding in things that don't belong in The Sims. One thing I talked about was RPG, that they started to implement with Strangerville and Star Wars. That too. Which was the worst game pack that they could ever think of, and they still to this day believe it's the best for some reason. I don't know why. And then like Island Living, Eco Lifestyle, and Snowy Escape, they all had goals. Save the world, climb the mountain. Why do we need those things in The Sims? Yes, having recycle and picking up trash and things like that is fine, but it shouldn't be the goal of The Sims is to save the world. I don't think anyone actually likes talking about climate change and pollution and things like that. No. I don't know why they decided that those things were to be a feature of the game mechanics for The Sims 4, because it took away a lot of gameplay and a lot of resources and a lot of time and a lot of money that could have been better spent doing other things. Because Island Living and Eco Lifestyle both have that same thing. And it was so tiring that every new pack that came out had the same theme. And Snowy Escape is just more tourism with the same theme of climb the mountain, an end result to go to. We climb the mountain and we have completed Snowy Escape. So, I mean, those were things I talked about in this open letter to Laura. Along with keeping the game T for teen, because I saw in The Sims 4 that we started to cater to just children and not for older people. Because you think that the target audience for The Sims is probably 15 to 22. And what 15-year-old, I mean, they're going to get bored really quickly if the constant is just, RPG game kind of styles, linear gameplay. They get to the goal and they're done. Well, they're done with the game. Then they'll go play, a different game. So I don't really understand that kind of thought, really, on it. So I don't like aiming the target audience towards children more so than the 15 to the 22-year-old, because those are your people who buy the most. When teenagers generally start to get jobs, so they get their own money, they save their own money, so they like to buy things. And also when you're 18 to 22, you decide you're adult and you can do anything you want, and so you generally do consume a lot more in those ages. Those are also the college ages. So having The Sims is generally something that helps you unwind, basically. But of course, for us older people who have been playing The Sims since, beginning of time, we still buy it, and since we are adults, we have our own money to buy it. So it's always going to be catered to young adult, because young adult is pretty much the biggest buyer. You see that especially in books. Young adult books sell. So that's something in great comparison. I'm kind of getting off subject because I went off my notes. So let me go to the screenshots. So Paralives showcased this making the bed different. They did it like a pool though. They just pulled it and made it wider. And then of course in the live stream you saw them change the footboard and the headboard and the footboard. And I'm assuming it accents is like the pillows. You change the pillows. I like that the blankets aren't like completely squared to the mattress here. That they have their own little kind of wave. I'm not really going to talk too much about the assets. If we look here, we have an object limit of 2 of 20, and I'm assuming this means the accents that are allowed to be put, or the assets that are allowed to be put on here. So 2 is the 2 pillows, so 2 of 20 can be on the couch. This is what I'm assuming. We have icons down here. I see this is copy. This is the rotate, and of course this is the symbol, the plus symbol, which is, I guess it's like a compass symbol really, northeast, south, and west. The rotate, I'm not sure what these two are. This makes me think bigger, it grows, and this makes me think could push down and raise up maybe. I've noticed that these have little arrows like they do on Photoshop, so this means that this becomes something different. If you click and hold it, then other options should come up, like a collapse menu. This, I'm assuming, is snap to grid. This is camera, video camera, things like that. Of course, I see this, which is indication of the online aspects of you and how many friends you have online. I don't understand this because we've had 4 generations of the game without needing this. We understand when the walls are half down. I think we all do. I don't understand the highlighting because later we'll highlight this and this will be selected. We have a circle here. There's the other user. Over here we have Zoom favorites. Build by outdoor. I don't know what that is. It's either your friend's social connection or it's your Sims themselves and their family, and you can go to create a Sim this way without having to go in the mirror. Here we have a UI. This reminds me of Bustin' Out, to be honest. The same kind of UI. I don't know what this is. Maybe Sim Inventory, although that's generally a box. So that's kind of confusing. This is separate by rooms and then separate by categories, which I prefer always, always, always separate by categories. I never use this in any iteration of the games. I've never used that. Which we have some assets to look at. I swear to God, this is the same stove that they've used since the beginning of time, that they just make it, you know, modernize it up. And the same with these lights. I feel like we've had these streaming lights for a while. And this sideboard looks just like a sideboard in The Sims 4. I'm not bothered by repeating assets and designs and things like that because, I mean, I like remaking the houses from yesteryear anyways. Here we have that circle thing. It's really, I don't understand. I mean, I understand that this is grouped together, but I don't like seeing this at all. It looks very sloppy, to be honest. Here we have create a style, I'm assuming. Clone it with the create a style. Just clone the object. Trash. And here's inventory. I'm assuming that's what the box is inventory. And then see, you select the tile. I'm assuming that's tile, not a rug. But it's weird to me. Is that them setting that this area is kitchen and it's its own room? I don't understand. I don't understand why the grouping. See, but this highlights the rug. So I don't understand the grouping aspect. You notice that this has changed to be, I guess this is grouping. Selection for grouping. This is I'm assuming go to the next floor. Although that's kind of weird for it to be, unless that means to group it and to put it online. Which, since the mouse was going there for this next screenshot, I'm assuming that's what that is. That is to group it, to upload it. Which is a weird how they have that icon, which I'm sure, I mean, this is all in early development, so I'm assuming that a lot of the icons will change and things like that. I don't know why they showcased this. Because to me, all this looks like to me is this is going to be Marketplace. That they're showing you that when you're in the game, just like in the gallery, you can put things up. But I'm going to also assume that they're going to expand this to include a marketplace, because that's where everything's going right now. You already have a problem in the Sims community with paid content. Now, EA tried to alleviate that by saying that no more paid content, but they got so much backlash from paid curators and people that they have affiliated with that they had to roll that back. And now it's even more unclear than ever before about paid content. It must come out, but we're not giving you a time limit of when it must come out for free. So, I believe that EA will probably adopt Second Life and Marketplace, but with the scheme that Amazon has done to Twitch and to self-publishing, that they get 70-30, which means that they get 70% of the profits and you get 30% of the leftovers. So, that's how I feel about that. So I don't understand why they put this in. Another thing I noticed here in pattern and also in creative style, we have primary. So does that mean that there's secondary? So we can put a pattern and then go over to secondary and put a texture over the pattern. That's what that makes me think. And Blender tools, people have talked, they're calling these the Blender tools, which, I mean, to me, that's just, Unreal Engine is compatible with Blender, and so it just uses the same tools. To me, that's different. That's just the same thing. Let me look at my notes here. So we've got a pretty good idea about things. My worries are, we have mobile, and we have this social connection, which is online multiplayer, and the compatibility differences between a smartphone and a desktop, a gaming desktop, are very wide. I mean, I know people like to say, no, they're not. All I need is a mobile device. No, they're not the same. I'm sorry. One of those things is graphic cards, cooling elements, and things like that. There's a big difference. This is the reason why laptops don't last as long as desktops, is because they burn up really quickly. So, and also desktops have the ability to interchangeability. So, there is differences. Now, I don't mind cross-platform with console. I don't mind it. Some people would like them to have a different game for console than they do PC, because, you know, that's where Bustin' Out came from. That's where the Sims console came from. And then the different little handheld devices that they had. And people liked those games because they weren't the same. I understand that. I know in Sims 3 that the game was pretty much the same as the console as it was on PC, and of course they extended that with Sims 4, and it's exactly the same as it is for PC. But we also have to realize that PC always gets priority over console, and we've seen this in Sims 4, that we on PC will get the updates, they won't on console. And we have seen countlessly on Twitter and other social media of people complaining of, you know, console is just being left in the wind. And there's still people all across the world that cannot play their Sims 4 game. Still. And a lot of PC people, too, that still can't play their that can't play their game because of all the errors of the updating and the constant patching, and that breaks something, and this breaks everything, and that breaks everything, and it's still a constant battle with The Sims 4 because The Sims 4 has a broken foundation, and it will never work as it should. But it wasn't made to be what it is, so it will always have a wrongness to it. So, talking about a pre-alpha discussion here on this development of Project Rene, I'm very bothered by this. I believe that they're going to put all the attention, resources, money, and passion, if you can call EA and everyone having passion, into the multiplayer social aspect of the game, which will mean that the single player experience will be lacking what it needs, because everything and all the resources and time and management is going to go into the social connection. So that's something I fear will probably happen, because that's generally how these kinds of games go. When they're all about their online aspect, they start to take away from the not online aspect. And them saying you don't need an internet connection at all is funny, because they said that for Sims 4. Well, you can't update your game without an internet connection. And for some people with Origin, which I know they're updating to the EA app, but they've made it impossible to launch the game without it being updated. Or, like they did to me, they forced updated, even though I had that turned off on Origin, they forced updated my game. They wouldn't allow me to play the game at all until I put it online, and then it forced updated. That happened. I've not forgotten, and I won't forget, and I don't trust EA with that. This is why I hate digital games. I mean, I can't think that online multiplayer, or mobile at that, is a good idea. Because it is going to take away from the single player experience. It's going to be more about the social aspect, and that's already a problem in The Sims 4. The base of The Sims 4, and I'm talking about Olympus, was made for being a multiplayer game. But 2013 SimCity bombed hard. It had so many issues with its cloud-based features and its online social aspect that they panicked. They decided, let's build it from what we have. I mean, they had years and years. I mean, they said that they started developing The Sims 4 when Sims 3 came out. So back in 2009. And they started building it then. And then, because they built their own engine for it. Because they were going to do the online bullcrap. And they found out 2013 SimCity, that don't work. And so they scrapped it. It kept what they had, and they built everything on base game on it. But this foundation was so rocky, and then it started to crack and crumble, because you can tell that everything in The Sims 4 is based on social interactions. Learning about things in Jungle Adventure, in the vampires, and any of the occults, you have to talk to people about it to learn about it, or you research it on the computer. And and then almost all the other like features that they brought later are all social surrounding. I mean, I could name a bunch of them, especially like in Snowy Escape. That was ridiculous. The groups and get together. That's all social based. And when you have a game that's just based on social based things, you have a lack of gameplay. It's depthless, it's soulless, it's shallow. Because it's all based on your sim talking to another sim. And that's it. So, that's a problem that we're going to now face again in The Sims 5, I believe. It's like they didn't learn the lesson with Sims 4, even though they knew that we didn't want the social connection with The Sims 4. We rioted, basically, when SimCity 2013 came out. We told them it was a bad idea, it was stupid. And when we played it, we gave them the evidence of it. And then they decided, oh crap, let's scrap everything we have for Sims 4, but we have this engine and we can't rebuild it. We can't push back because we only have like one more year of things we've developed for Sims 3. And we already cut that out, and we've now started on Sims 4 development, that we can't use more Sims 3 stuff, so let's go ahead and put together what we can with tape and wire and string and put it out there for everybody, because we have a good CAS and we have a good build and buy mode, but everything else we don't have. So that's exactly what they're doing. And it feels like they did not learn that lesson. They've returned to what they wanted The Sims 4 to be, and instead of listening to their fan base, the big part of the fan base, the bottom of the fan base that makes up the biggest part of the pyramid, they have decided to ignore that and go with what they desired back in Sims 4 days, the beginning of Sims 4 with Olympus. So I don't understand it. I can't understand it because it's not what the majority of the fan base wants. And they're going to say us that all these little features and everything like that is so cool and you could share with your friends. I don't want any of my friends to play The Sims with me. I'm a control freak. I don't want you to come into my world and paint my walls pink. They're white. Leave them alone. And I don't want you decorating in my house that I spent hours and hours decorating for you to destroy. I don't want you to have relationships with my Sims that I don't want your Sims to have relationships with mine. I mean, that's already a problem in the story progression of The Sims 4. It's broken because it doesn't turn off all the way for us that don't want it. So, those are things. And the reality of anything with Project Rene and its glorious future, right, is that it's still owned by EA Games. It's still EA. It could look like the most fantastic, intuitive game that we've ever seen, but it's still run by EA. So you know where it's leading eventually. It's all about monetization and cutting corners, because you'll start to get less and less and less and less and less for more and more and more money. Because that's EA's corporation scheme. And what does that mean for The Sims 4? Well, they said in the next few years, the journey for the next few years, right? So few usually means 3. Down here they say in the next couple of years they will continue to share updates. So I'm thinking 2 years of development, and 3 years then it will be released. So that means in 2025 the game will be released. So that means they'll continue to put out kits, maybe an expansion pack, maybe a game pack. I don't think any more stuff packs. They're not as lucrative, evidently. But they'll continue to put those up. And they'll have at least, like in The Sims 3, a year when The Sims 5 comes out. They'll have already developed something to go for about a year, because they'll still be making things for Sims 4. So whatever scraps that they have left over, they'll put in a few kits and maybe a game pack for The Sims 4 for that last year. When Sims 5 comes out, they'll have that lap over year that they overlap, just like in The Sims 3. And then we'll find out how long they'll allow the gallery to stay up, because I have to figure out how to save all my Sims that aren't on the gallery, to save them as packages for everybody of the internet to have. So that's something. Because that's eventually going to happen. The gallery will be shut down eventually, because they're not going to keep it up. They're gonna want the server space for Sims 5, because it's going to be online. So they're going to need more servers. They're going to have to stop paying for those servers and have servers that can hold up the Sims 5. Also, the Sims 4 base game is now free. So that's also showing that they no longer have, well, I mean, they pretty much said it, no commitment, renewed commitment. So they had no commitment to the Sims 4. So that's why, I mean, it's already free. So, moving back to Project Rene and the design for Sims 5, I'm going to say, design-wise, what I see so far, beyond this cluttery mess that they show with this grouping aspect, I'm fine with art style and direction. I want to know what the Sims look like, though. I would have loved for them to show at least concept art of what they want The Sims to look like. Them holding that back makes me nervous because The Sims 3, we do not want to repeat. Because they put all of their attention into creative style and open world in The Sims 3, and it was still badly optimized. And they fell on their faces when it came to the actual designs of the Sims themselves. Yes, they gave us body modification in The Sims 3. We give them a lot of clapping for that, a lot of kudos for that. But that continued on and was actually better implemented in The Sims 4. So, design-wise, I'm fine with art direction. I do like mine to be a little bit more cartoony than it is, like, if we had the needle between cartoony and between realistic, I kind of like it to lean slightly more cartoony than realistic, because I don't want Men of Medan and the creepiness that more realistic starts to look, because especially when they move their mouths and talks, it starts to look really weird, and their eyes, the soullessness, which, I mean, that's kind of the Sims 3 eyes, I guess, soulless, but a little bit towards the cartoony. Not like super cartoony, I don't want Disney, but just like a little bit. So, this doesn't bother me. In which I have a list that I made a long time ago. I'll get to your messages soon. A very long time ago about what would make the perfect Sims game or life simulation game. I don't expect any of this to be taken seriously as far as what people also want. Me, I would love a simulation game that goes from the city skyline, world building, attention to detail, to map size. So from like from the city, managing the city, all the way down to the Sims household, to the singular Sim. I would love that kind of thing, which I know that would be a big game. These are some of these things I understand pretty hard to do, and I don't expect them to do it. But if you're telling me that you skipped out on the ability to make SimCity and the Sims 1 game and chose the social connection over that, that would actually make me very angry. But building my own world, these are the things that I won't buy the Sims 5 if it's not included. Building my own world, that's number one. I draw the line there. I won't buy The Sims 5 if I can't build my own world. Straight up, won't do it. I've already suffered with Sims 4. I kept hoping and hoping and hoping Create a World would come like Sims 3. Create a World wasn't originally a standard in Sims 3. It came later. SimCity 4, I believe, came out before The Sims 2, so it was already in place to make worlds for The Sims 2. But I must be able to create my own world. Because I don't want to live on Earth, I want to live in my own world. I don't want to live in your perfect worlds, as Max has put it. Their perfect worlds is the reason why they didn't want to edit us have the ability of editing their worlds, is because they were perfect. So they didn't want us to edit them. That's why we can't have any kind of creating the worlds there in Sims 4. Which goes back to being a control freak. They're that much of a control freak that they didn't want us to create their own worlds. But you know what? Let me have the ability to create my own world. Transportation must be in the game. Must be in base game. New life stage. Teens must look different from young adults. They must. Height slider. And little details. I want my Sims to feel like they are engaging with their environment, like in Sims 2. You look at Sims 2, for instance, pool water in the Sims 2. When the Sims are in the pool water moves against the edges of the pool. That is not the same in any other of the generations of the game. The Sims 2 is the only one that happens in. Also, when kids bounce on the sofa, the cushions actually move when they're hopping on the couch. So, I want them to have that level of detail, of that level of passion and love for the game, that they actually do think about intricacy, things like that. Do I believe that's going to happen because I see this? No. All of the time and management is going to go into that. So, I see that we have apartments. If they're not in base game, that's an issue. Because they're already showing that they have the capability of it. And they're going to save it for a DLC, that's an issue. Because then we're just repeating the cycle of Sims 4. And I don't think anybody wants that, because I think EA and Maxis should see how unhappy they've made the fan base with their decision making for The Sims 4. And you think that they would learn from those mistakes and grow. Because The Sims 5 can be the best game out there. But they got to do it correctly. They have to think, well, no, this is what we did with Sims 4 and Sims 3 in the past, and it very much angered our base. We shouldn't do that, because we can give them complete expansion packs. We can give them complete game packs, stuff packs. I don't want kits. Don't do kits. Don't do them. They may not even do stuff packs. Or game packs, because they'll do marketplace. But game packs are supposed to be about gameplay. But I find that kind of weird. Why do you need those if you have expansion packs? Because what is the point of expansion? They're supposed to expand the game, and that includes gameplay. So I don't really understand game packs. But I hope that they do like other games do, high-end games do, and they just have the base game in it, and they have a expansion pack. Or they just call them DLCs, really. But I hope they do that instead of with all these different packs and kits and things, because they'll have their marketplace. So I don't see the reason for them to do anything else. If that's what they're going to do, is the marketplace, I don't really see a reason to have stuff pack kits or game packs. Expansion packs expound upon the base of the game, the sandbox of the game. So those are kind of needed. But make them actually be reasonably priced, because if they cost $10 less than the actual expansion pack, or the actual game, then they're not worth it. So, those have been my thoughts about Sims 5 in Project Rene. What are your thoughts about what you see so far, what you've heard from other Simmers, what you've collectively thought with your peers? So, let me know in the comments. You can find me here at YouTube, any places in the description below, and of course at mdpthat'sme.tumblr.com. And, happy simming. When you think the drama could be over, then we get this. CurseForge. We're excited to announce that The Sims 4 and CurseForge will be collaborating to bring the first ever Sims 4 official mod hub. Finally, all of your The Sims 4 mod needs will be in one secure, curated space. Stay tuned for updates. By official, they mean EA sponsored, not an actual mod hub, because Mod The Sims has been around since 2004, a very long time. And, of course, people pointed out TSR also existed, but, I don't count TSR because it's a paid content place. So, Mod The Sims has been around. They have to approve your work, or at least they did. I don't know if they still do that. But they've been around for a long time, and some of the best mods ever came out of Mod The Sims. So, I'll just stick to my Tumblr, to be honest. But I have never even heard of CurseForge ever in my entire life, because I don't play Minecraft or World of Warcraft, so I've never even heard of it. But when I've looked at it, one, it's 25 days until you can download from there. They want you to play the video. I choose not to. They give you this stuff. For Simmers, this is not true according to some people. I don't know how much that is actually true. And I don't know. Some of us control freaks may not want them to do that. Premium content is paid content. Paid content. This is weird. don't really see the need for this. I mean, if this is what they're thinking instead of a marketplace, it feels really weird because this isn't EA. This is some other person's site that they're combining with. Which, let's all be honest, this is just a test run. This isn't a official for Sims 4. This is a test run for Sims 5. Because if it wasn't, why are they waiting 8 years into the life of the Sims 4 to do this? So, I don't know if this is something they decided to do instead of saying no more paid CC, that will give you an official place so you can be paid, and that it's somewhere that we approve of, and that we will vet you to be one of our creators, which they call it curated, which means basically you have to submit to be a creator, and then you have to submit your stuff for review, which is silly. I mean, it's the same reason why places like TSR and Mod the Sims aren't actually doing that well. That and a whole host of, you know, forums that aren't doing good. Because people discovered Tumblr and said, hey, I don't have to get approved to post my stuff. I can just post my stuff. I don't need anyone say so. I could just do it myself. So these places don't make sense to me. They're saying it's for one place for us all to be, but then they won't allow us all to be in one place. Because they're not going to allow every creator that applies to be a creator there. They have to be to the quality that EA allows, or CurseForge allows, because they also have their own terms of use, in which, for instance, we'll just say it pretty plainly, 18 plus content won't be allowed. It'll have to be family friendly. So, I mean, they recruited some of the simmers who are popular for this. Like, we do see Turbo Driver here for wonderful whims, but not wicked whims. We see this person I've never heard of. This person, of course, Deaderpool is pretty famous. Never heard of. But it's their, I suppose, popular people that have a certain standard that EA likes. So, if I go down here, we have this screenshot of the video, which I don't feel like playing, of some of the creators, which we know Peacemaker, we know Obscure Sims, which is kind of confusing considering that's an alpha person. Why are they going to do a max match thing? We see Felix and Harry, who both were a part of the doxing. It's very upsetting to see them a part of the affiliation, when we know for sure they are a part of the doxing of people. We see Story Legacy Sims, which is a long-time game changer. We see Tuxid Mexi and MC Commander, which is Deaderpool. They're both popular modders. Cervinka. These other people, I know. Kate Verse, of course, she's a poser. But, like, these other ones, I don't even know who they are. But, yeah, the fact that they would actually want to be with Felix and Harry, it's already bad to me. I can tell you for sure that I won't be joining it. That I'll have nothing to do with it. I won't link to it. I won't like people's stuff for it. Because I know. This is not what we wanted. You're going to vet people. You're only going to allow the creators that you want to be a part of it. So that isn't very community driven. That's very elite driven. So, and then Overwolf is evident, which I've never heard of Overwolf before. They're a part of the Mod Squad pilot group, which when did they ask for these people? Does anyone remember getting an email being asked to be a part of these people? Any of you Sims 4ers? I don't expect people like me, because I don't really put out Sims 2 content. Or Sims 4 content. I'm a Sims 2er. But, like, I know for sure that 13 Pumpkin wasn't asked. And she's one of the best creators out there for Sims 4, as far as deco and furniture. So, for me, this is already going in the wrong direction. You're already saying that you want inclusion, You want people to be excluded because they're not meeting the standards that you believe that it should be. So instead of including everyone, you're excluding everyone. This is only going to make things worse in the community. I don't know why they don't understand this. This is going to make things worse, not better, worse. Because people are going to feel like that they're not a part of it, that they're not good enough. Therefore, they're not going to want to be, and they're going to badmouth, and they're not going to want to participate, and they're going to shut down, and they're no longer going to play The Sims. I mean, that's exactly what you see in people already that are creators, that they don't feel like they're good enough for the community, so they stop actually making things for the community and stop playing the game. We've seen it over and over again of people who go through burnout also. So these things are bad. And this interview is pathetic, by the way. Harry's one of the people in the interview. The fact that you affiliate with this person who you know is a part of the doxing is scary. And why would you want to advertise that? We know for sure Harry and Felix were a part of the doxing. There's so much information and so much evidence of that already out on Tumblr everywhere. So, and you can't tell me that EA didn't see it. Of course they saw it. So I don't know if these people have some kind of blackmail on EA games. It's kind of weird to think that they could. But I don't, for me, this is no mistake that this was announced a day after the announcement of The Sims 5. Because this is just a test run to see how well it does, so if we can implement it for Sims 5. Is it also a little step up for if their marketplace will work or not? Maybe, maybe not, but why would you need it? You have the gallery. It has shown you how good it works already, how many people use the gallery, and the gallery has millions upon millions of, downloads from it. So I don't really understand this at all. I don't understand isolating creators at all for this. And in this thread, which there's many people who talk about it, and there's actually people who's excited for it. I don't understand that. Why would you be excited for it? I'll just stick to my Tumblr, because my Tumblr needs no one's permission to post my content, Sims 4 or Sims 2. And my Tumblr needs no one's permission to be vetted beside my own. So I don't understand why people would give up their control of their content to some other organization. That makes no sense. This is the reason why forums are dying. This is the reason why Mod The Sims is dying, why TSR is dying. Because who wants to wait 2 weeks to put out something that they can put out today? On Tumblr, on Instagram, on Patreon, on WordPress, on Pillow Fort, on YouTube, on Twitter. I mean, I don't understand that. I can't understand that. Why would you give your power to somebody else? Makes no sense. And then we have this lovely person called Stargazer Sims that wrote this big long thing here, and you can go to their site to read the rant here, but makes a lot of sense. I mean, they say they understand why EA is doing it from a business point of view. I don't. Because we are 8 years into The Sims 4. So this has nothing to do with The Sims 4. It has everything to do with Sims 5. But again, CC has been being made since the dawn of The Sims. So this isn't anything new to them. Why now have they decided to do it? The only thing I can think of is because of this past summer when we had the big problem with paid content. So they're deciding this is a way that they can fix that. Except for it's not a fix, it's stupid. But yeah. And they go through how they think people are going to become resentful. People are already resentful, to be honest. So, but anyways, that was, I thought I was done with the drama, right? And we have more that was just added on out of nowhere. So, go investigate it for yourself. But I, as a longtime simmer, will have nothing to do with it.